Hello everyone, hope that you're all well. Thank you very much for stopping by. Okay, I have another consumer review for you today, and this is for the new Shark Stratos cordless vacuum cleaner. Very special because this is my own Shark Stratos cordless vacuum cleaner, which I paid for with my own money. I do a lot of reviews for Amazon, and as part of their Vine program, they do send me a lot of things through for my own evaluation and my own opinion on them. But this is actually my own product that I've bought myself, and I thought it was about time I reviewed it. I ordered this about 2 days before Black Friday, and it arrived actually on Black Friday, the afternoon of Black Friday. It's now 5:45 on Thursday the 15th of December, so I've had it 3 weeks, and I've used it quite a lot, so I thought it was about time I put it to review and shared my views on it, because broadly it's been very, very good. For the last 10, 12 years at least, I've used Dyson vacuum cleaners, usually the animal variants. In fact, those ones up there, we still have them. I originally inherited a Dyson upright from my mum when she chucked hers out and replaced it with something newer, and that lasted a couple of years and it started to conk out, so then got another one, but this time it was the trundle along one, the what do you call them, the cylinder version, and then that started to die again, but through various repairs I still do have them, and I've defended them quite a lot. Maybe it's through some kind of patriotic thing, trying to believe that this was the greatest vacuum cleaner in the world, but to be totally honest, they're a bit of a pain in the backside. They're heavy, they're cumbersome, and they're connected to the wall, so you've always got to unplug them, move them around. It takes forever to do the vacuum, but I've stuck by them. They were expensive. I wanted to get my money's worth, and I think I've got my money's worth out of them, but it was time for a change, and for the last couple of years I've been watching the market to see what happens with these cordless vacuums. I've been very late to the party, let's say. I was very late to the party on cordless vacuum lawnmowers as well. But until earlier on this year, I went out and bought a LawnMaster cordless lawnmower and a LawnMaster cordless hedge cutter, and they've been marvellous. They really have. Checked them out. They're on Amazon as well. I love them to bits. But I've always been a bit reluctant to go for the vacuum cleaner. I really don't know why, because it's the cable that makes it the pain in the backside. I did look at the Dysons. I looked at G-Techs. I think my sister's still got a G-Tech actually, but I also looked at the Sharks. And up until about 4 or 5 months ago, I knew the one I wanted. I was just waiting for it to come on the right offer. And then just before I was about to buy it, this one came out, the Stratos version, and it's very expensive, unless you know where to look for it, because if you buy it at full RRP, it's eye-wateringly expensive. It's the Apple of vacuum cleaners, let's put it that way. But every so often it comes down in some offers, and I landed on Amazon just at the right time. I'm not going to say how much I paid for it, because you'll want to beat me up, but it was a proper Amazon Black Friday deal, and the offers are there if you look for them. They're not there at the moment because 3 weeks after Black Friday it's still not in stock. It was one of the sought after products of Black Friday, but if you can get hold of one and get hold of one on a offer, brilliant, excellent, wonderful. But what is it really like? Well, obviously I've showed you what my Dysons were. They've now been consigned to the garage, and I shall move them on at some point, maybe do a charity shop. But how have I got on with this over the last 3 weeks? Well, the first day I used it, I charged it up. This is the charging unit that you get with it. You get, now this is important actually, mine is the twin battery version. You can get it as a single battery version. I would advise caution. If you go for the single battery, do make sure you also have a very small home. It will last about 20 to 25 minutes. I know it says 60 minutes per battery. The twin version is 120 minutes for fans of mathematics. But if you're using it at full power, and I don't know what kind of psychopath wouldn't use it at full power, but it gets through it a lot quicker than 60 minutes per battery. I've been getting about 20 minutes. In fact, I've got my timer up on now. What I've been doing is I've been using my stopwatch while I've been going around and finding out exactly how long it took. And my first day with the vacuum cleaner, after I charged up both the batteries, I got 44 minutes out of it, I think it was. I think there might have been a bit of a discrepancy in either the charging or the ability of one of these batteries, because one of them only lasted about 12-13 minutes before it died on me. In fact, I started using it for the first time and it went down to 80% on the display within about 20 seconds. I suspect I might have not have fully charged the battery, but Since then, it's not been too bad, and I've been getting about between 20 and 22 minutes per battery, depending on what you're using. Like I say, that's if you're using it on full turbocharged mode. There are going to be times when you're not wanting to do that. Say you're on hard surfaces or going across rugs where you might suck them up into the head of the unit, or if you're using the various attachments on upholstery, for example, you're not going to be using full power. It is exceptionally good at alternating its power. It's got a little light on the front of it which glows up to tell you how much power it's using. Obviously you can hear how much power it's using. It detects as it's going along how much, I've got a bit of fluff flying around in front of me, how much power it needs to deal with whatever's in front of it. So as it goes over a particularly thick carpet, for example, you'll hear it go up in power. As it goes across a slick bit of flooring, it'll go down in power. So it's always adjusting its power to make the most out of the battery. But take claims of 60 minutes per battery, 120 minutes across 2 batteries with a little bit of a pinch of salt, because I got nowhere near that. So do make sure that you can get around your house in less than 20 minutes if you go for the 1 battery, or less than 40 minutes if you go for the 2 battery. That is very dependent on what you're doing though. My weekly vacuum clean, which I do on a Friday evening after I finish work, it takes me, I timed it the other day, it took me 21 minutes and 37 seconds, and that was from standing at the cupboard door, opening it up, taking the vacuum cleaner out, putting the battery on, running around the downstairs, upstairs and doing the stairs, and then putting it back away and putting the battery on charge. It takes me 21 minutes and 37 seconds. It never took me that quickly when I was using the Dyson, because you've got to unplug it, you've got to reel it out because it hasn't got a automatic winder on it, and you're constantly moving it around. The thing that takes a little bit of time on this is the size of the dustbin. In fact, they don't even call it a dustbin, they call it a dust cup. That's how small it is. So you do empty that out a little bit quicker than you would on bigger vacuum cleaners, but it's not too bad. I'll do 2 empties from the usual weekly vacuum cleaner. But what's it like to own? Well, what do you get? What do you get? I'll show you up there, me opening it on that Black Friday day, and typically, being the man that I am, I didn't read the instructions. I just took everything out of the box, trying to figure it out myself, and it's quite simple. Even though there are quite a lot of components to it, I'll run you through what you get. Like I say, you get a battery charging unit cradle like this, which is great. So you get 2 batteries just like that. Each of those batteries have the button on there which releases it from the device, but that button also has a illumination on it which tells you what the charge of it is when it's in the charger. That's pretty good. You get a charging cable with Sharp written all over it as well. So there's actually 2 batteries for the twin battery model, and that is lovely. I won't say it's super fast charging, maybe a couple of hours to charge them all up, but it's acceptable. You get various heads with it, so you get a nice little head like that. You get a nozzle like that, as you would do with any vacuum cleaner. You get the sort of upholstery and curtain cleaner thing, which is great. I use that for dusting, as you can see from the dusting, and you can see from all the Lego in this particular room. We've got a lot of things that need dusting, and this is absolutely brilliant. You can see I've used it quite a lot. And then you've got a smaller upholstery device there with an added thing. I don't know the technical terms for these, it's not my area of speciality, but they all work quite nicely. But then you've got the main head itself, which is this thing here, and this is an animal version, and as you can see there aren't any hairs wrapped around that. You get a little bit of hairs and stuff, whatever in the grommets, but in the main reel like that you don't get anything, and that's important for us because I live in a household full of well, creatures that put a lot of hair down. If you've seen any of my other videos, you know that I've got a border collie who molts everywhere. If I was to shuffle my feet across the carpet at any one moment, I will just be covered in down of dog. In fact, that dog there, and that's my wife up there who has hair down to the top of her backside. She's got really, really long hair, and it gets everywhere as well. And these are brilliant. Even the Dyson Animal, I was always picking hair out of the vacuum cleaner. This, after what, 3 weeks of using it, not picked a single bit of hair out of the actual roller itself. It's been really, really good. What else do you get? You get a lovely little bag with shark written all over it to hold on to it, and you also get, you can just see it there, that there is a like an air, it says anti-odour technology, some kind of air purifying thing, and you can smell it actually. It comes in a little sealed container, a bit like a sardine tin sort of thing. And you can smell it as you go along. It does mean that you're going to have to replace it at some point. I'm sure it won't last forever, but it's got a dial on it. You can just about see just there. You can change how intense the smell that comes out of it is. The size of the thing, as you can see, it's not the lightest thing I've ever used for a cordless, but it's not unmanageable. And when you're actually using it, it uses its weight very well. It's balanced very nicely, and with the articulation of the head as it's moving around, the weight that's behind it gets it into the right corner. It makes it move quite smoothly. It actually works very, very well. Now, this is in its store mode. This is this is how I have it in the cupboard, and it takes up virtually no room at all. Unlike the old Dysons with cords and tubes and all sorts of things everywhere, making an absolute mess and actually pushing the door open half the time. This is lovely. I put all these items here. I put into the bag, sits behind it, and that sits in the kitchen on the counter, charging up, ready to go all the time. And this is very important actually, because a few years ago I bought my mum a cordless vacuum cleaner, but the battery was sealed to the actual unit, which meant that it had to be charged in situ. So wherever she kept the vacuum cleaner, she had to have a socket ready for it to be charged up, which can be a bit awkward. It's not ideal. In fact, where we put ours, there's no charging socket in the cupboard downstairs. So being able to take it off like this and charge it up, ready for its next use, is brilliant. I do like that. Well done, Shark. So what is it like to live with? Well, pleasingly, it's very well designed, and I've enjoyed my experience with it so far over the last 3 weeks. Everything is very intuitive, and you don't need the instructions manual to work out how to use this thing. For example, all the little buttons are very intuitive. So it's in its store mode at the moment, so you press that button there and you can quickly fold it out into its ready to play mode, and likewise just one click of it back and it's gone again. All the little attachments all use the same button to come on and come off. So for example, this is the main body of the vacuum cleaner. The head with the motor is in that section there. That's the dust cup. But because everything's in there, that means you can say you want to use your little nozzle there, button off there. You want to use I use that for the stairs. That goes on very, very quickly, comes off very, very quickly. It's all very, very good. The battery, it snaps in. It just goes into let's make sure it's into that little hole just there. So you snap that in there, and you can vacuum away with just a single attachment, or stick it onto that. The battery, it releases very quickly, so a little button there. That button also illuminates when it's on charge, so you can tell what the charge of it is, and snap it back on there and it's ready to go. It's very, very easy to use. Like I said, it's not the lightest thing in the world, but it's maneuverable, and that then snaps back on to there. Now it's worth noting that when it's in that mode, it's very, very stable. It won't fall over. But as soon as you go into the fall up mode like that, it is no longer stable. You cannot leave it alone. It will fall over. So if you're vacuuming and someone knocks on the door, do make sure you put it down on the floor, otherwise it's just going to fall over. And try not to just lean it up against something, because I guarantee you will still fall over. That is one of my biggest criticisms of this entire design. I don't know how you could get away from it unless you had some kind of, I don't know, some kind of kickstand that comes out as it loses its balance. But it's a bit awkward, but you learn to live with it. Likewise, when you come to take the dust cap off, you'll quite often forget about that, so you'll it'll just want to fall over on you. So you do make sure that you tip it over like that, so it's in that sort of situation, otherwise it will just fall over. But in fact, a note on the dust cap, because like I said earlier on, you do have to empty this quite often, because it's only a very, very small little cap, that thing is. In fact, I'm running the risk of dropping dust all over the place here, but let's have a look. This is what it is like in real life. So you take the vacuum cleaner head off of the off the body, take the body to your wheeler bin or whatever, and there's a little button just there, and let's see if I get dust all over the place. There you go. That's how easy it is to get rid of the dust from it, and it all comes out straight away. I've never had anything where I've got to poke around to get stuff out of it. It just works all the time, and it's really, really quick. So it's like, it's that, it's, where is it? Find the button, it's there it goes, back on your device. And you can swap things around so quickly on it. It's not like the Dyson. The Dyson was just such a pain in the backside, but this works really, really well. Do I have any other criticism of it? Well, other than the price, if I was to pay full RRP for this, I would have a problem with it because it is eye-wateringly expensive. But when it's on its regular sort of deals, and certainly if it follows the trend of its predecessors in the Shark range, then you should be able to pick it up for a reasonable amount. It's never going to be cheap, and cordless technology is getting better and better. It's getting cheaper and cheaper, but we're starting to plateau a little bit because it's becoming more mainstream. I mean, I used to work for quite a large garden tools company. We were one of the very first to come out with a lawnmower that's cordless, and it was eye-wateringly expensive. Did nothing like the claim on the box as to how far it would go, and that was 22, 23 years ago, something like that, and we've come a long, long way from that, and I'm at the point where I'm very happy to say I would buy that over a corded vacuum any day of the week. It still cost me a lot of money, but I don't regret it. If I had the decision again, I will go out and buy this vacuum straight away. I'm not going to give it 5 stars because there are a few flaws. It is still expensive and it does want to fall over. The dust cap is a bit small, so you do have to make multiple trips, even though it is quite straightforward and easy to do, but it's still something to consider. It's not totally perfect. I'm sure there is a way of improving on it somehow. I'm not a product designer, so I'm sure somebody else can figure that out. But it's not perfect, but I've not used anything that's better. Okay, I've not used a lot of vacuum cleaners in my life. I've mainly used Animals and Hoovers. I have used the Hoover equivalent of the cordless one, which is the one I got from my mother. It must be 4 or 5 years ago at least. But this one is just a delight to use. Not perfect, but it feels right. It's not totally lightweight, so don't say, oh, I'm going to buy it for my elderly mother or something like that, because perhaps is going to be too heavy. It's still heavy taking it up the stairs, but it's manageable, just not totally lightweight. I mean, for the stairs, this thing is absolutely superb. Stairs or the car. Like I say, I usually stick on that attachment, and it's as quick as that. I used to hate doing the stairs with the Dyson. It used to be such an absolute pain. Before I do go, let me just show you the actual operation of it. That's your control dial there. There's another button just down there. This is going to make a noise, so I do apologise, but that is the... There you go. That showed, I just left it long enough for it to go up to 100% there. So that shows the battery's at 100%. Obviously, that'll count down as you're going along. Like I say, you get about 20 to 22 minutes out of it, depending on what you use. That's using that head mainly, because that's the head you're going to use. That's the one with all the power on it. It's got all the clean sense stuff onto it. That's the one you're going to use. If you do want to go down to half power, whatever it is, that button there, it cycles it down. So if I just wind it back up again, I do apologise for the noise. Press that, it goes into leaf mode. Press it the second time, it just put it into all out nutter mode. You won't want to be in that mode for too long. If you just keep it on the normal power, you'll get 20 to 22 minutes of power out of it. Now, that's then up to you to decide whether 22 minutes, 44 minutes for the twin battery version is enough for what you need it to do. you might look at that and think 20 odd minutes, I'm never going to run around the house in 20 minutes and vacuum everything, but it's amazing how much quicker you do the vacuum cleaning. I've noticed it with the vacuuming, I've noticed it with the lawnmower. You go round so much quicker, and you also do things more often because you instead of oh god, it's got to do the vacuum cleaning again now, I've got to do the lawn mowing again, and it's like, oh, I'll quickly run around and do the vacuum. You really is, it's like a split second, right, oh, just do something. And likewise, if you do actually spill something, it's like you're not going to push it to one side, you're actually going to go out and get the vacuum out. These, they are really good. I've been impressed with Shark. I've never had any experience with them before. I was just as likely to be absolutely hating them as I was liking them, and if I'm spending X amount of money on a product like this, and lots of X's amounts of money, I need to be convinced that it's good. And so far, with the exception of the fact that it wants to fall over and that it's very, very expensive, I've been massively impressed. So much so that my wife has so far not actually used it. I keep threatening her with a training session on how to use it, and no, I think she's onto a good thing here, because she knows that I'm just going to go out and use the gadget. It's a gadget, I'm going to use it, of course I am. So I'm happy with it. I would buy it again, and I would urge you to consider it. Bear in mind, it is quite heavy for a cordless. It's very expensive for a cordless. The batteries are only going to last you 20 to 22 minutes for a single battery, perhaps 3/4 of an hour for both batteries, and you're going to be cleaning it, emptying out the dust cap quite often. But other than that, I've been really, really impressed. Yeah, I'd recommend it.